Mademoiselle, he said, take our friend downstairs and put him in chains. His suffering will serve as nourishment as we prepare for our Lord's arrival. Shayna nodded and turned to the two hooded captors to help her carry Jonas out of the room. He lay slumped on the concrete floor, awash in his own gore, tongueless, blind, and unconscious from the intensity of his torture. "It is our responsibility," the Frenchman said, addressing the congregation again, "each and every one, to make sure that a subterfuge such as this does not happen again. We have labored too long and given too much to let fear destroy everything we have worked for." The assembled nodded their agreement, and the Frenchman smiled his wicked snake's grin, taking his seat at the head of the congregation again. "Oui. On to nos business, then." Night fell over Pennsylvania like a blanket as life wound down to sleep. But hundreds of miles away, over the Atlantic Ocean, storm clouds expanded and contracted, floating lazily inland. On an uncertain path, they were being called, and they followed mindlessly. Without an ear or a thought, they listened and obeyed a voice that spoke from deep beneath the ghost town of Kettle Creek. A voice, lower than a whisper, but with all the authority of a god. Anton felt guilty, as he always did when he talked to Rachel. He felt guilty because he was lying to her on a daily basis. He told her that she was the only girl he thought about. He told her that they had a lot of interests in common. He told her that his father had died of cancer just like hers. He even told her that he was a virgin. All of these things were true. What Anton did not tell her was his real name, and that he was 38 years old. Rachel believed he was 17, and that his name was Adam. Rachel was only 15. Rachel and Adam had been together for 3 months now. They'd never met in real life, and they never would. Anton was not a child molester, and had no interest in luring some poor girl into some twisted rape scenario. He just liked to talk to her, and look at pictures of her. That was okay. No harm there. Women his own age would have nothing to do with him. It wasn't his fault that he felt more akin to a teenage girl. It was perfectly all right as long as there was nothing sexual involved. So why did he feel so guilty? Rachel was bitchin'. Her friends called her Ray Ray. She listened to OTEP. She had a tattoo on her shoulder that her mother didn't know about. She liked older boys, but no one at school got her the way that Adam did. Anton had created an entire persona for Adam after talking to her in a chat room and coming up with a name on the spot. Adam lived a few towns over. He had his license, but he didn't have his own car yet. Sorry, babe. He looked older, and so could easily get alcohol, and when he needed to blow off steam, he and his friends tagged overpasses and billboards. Anton had even stolen some kid's Facebook pictures to make Adam seem more genuine. He picked a random boy from Australia, so that she would never find out. One that he thought she would think was cute. She did. He was hardcore hot. They talked about music and movies and putting up with drama at school, though Anton was drawing on memories some more than 20 years old. They shared poetry, and he sent her flowers on Valentine's Day. She even sent him pictures once. Not sexual ones, but sexy ones. He masturbated to them the night she sent them, and after that, he felt really guilty. But he deleted them and promised himself he would never do it again. So that was okay. No harm done. Anton sat at his computer, feeling the guilt coming on, as it always did, when her name popped up on his IM window. Sylvestra. Hey, babe. Are you there? Pirates eat ninjas. Yeah, what's up, beautiful? Sylvestra. Not much, just chillin'. So the cycle started again. The screen name was one he made up specifically to talk to her. She was the only person on his buddy list. What few friends he had in real life, and a couple of co-workers, he had on a completely separate one. Sylvestra. I am bored. You should come keep me company. Pirates eat ninjas. I wish I could. He did. Sylvestra. It's not that far a walk, love. Pirates eat ninjas. Yeah, no, only like 25 miles. Sylvestra. I want to see you. Pirates eat ninjas. What did you do this weekend? He wanted to steer the conversation out of dangerous waters. Sylvestra. Nothin'. Just hung around with friends. You? Pirates eat ninjas. Same. He hadn't. Sylvestra. Hey, do you ever go to Exton Square Mall? Pirates eat ninjas. Sometimes, he wrote back without even thinking about it. If he'd thought about it even a little bit, he would have seen where this was going. Sylvestra. Cool. Maybe we can meet up there, and I can finally see you with my own eyes. And there it was. Damn it, this was a stupid game. Pirates eat ninjas. I don't really go to the mall that often. Sylvestra. Why not? Pirates eat ninjas. I don't really like hanging out at malls. Sylvestra. Well, you're a dude. But you'd make an exception for me, wouldn't you? He felt a different kind of guilt. This poor, 15-year-old girl obviously just wanted to meet her internet boyfriend. This wasn't a game to her. It was a little girl's life. He suddenly felt very old and dirty. Pirates eat ninjas. Of course. What else could he say? Pirates eat ninjas. BRB. Be right back. He needed to clear his head, and he was getting hungry. He looked through his pantry trying to find something to eat and settled on a package of ramen noodles. He put some water on to boil and watched, letting his thoughts wander. He never really had a girlfriend, and that's not to say he'd never been on a date, but he just felt awkward around women. It never went anywhere. There had been women during his life who had been interested. Not many, but a few. Though on the rare occasion that one had the nerve to offer her phone number, he never had the nerve to call. When he tried, his throat would tighten, and he could feel his face and hands go numb. The trouble was, the older he got, the harder it became. He found that the more you did a thing, the easier it was to continue to just do that thing. The last time he'd really gone out was over 4 years ago. These days, he only really left his house to go to work. He found it much easier to sit home at his computer and play online role-playing games than it was to actually have a social life. The less you did it, the harder it was. But you never stopped caring, and you never stopped hurting. Tiny bubbles were beginning to form around the edges of the water. He slid open the package of noodles and spices and threw them into the mix, poking at the mass with a fork. He could remember a time when the future seemed very bright. He'd graduated from high school with honors. He had planned on going to college to get a degree in engineering. That was 20 years ago. He never finished college. A car accident when he was 21 had seen to that. He broke his back and spent months in a wheelchair or on crutches. The time out of school had cost him. He never did make it back, and his loans came due. 20 years later, he was in the same state. No girlfriend, no real friends. He couldn't afford to try again. He no longer had the drive to make something of himself. Depression and anxiety seemed to make a home inside him, and vice versa. It was amazing how little it took to break a man. Or maybe he was just fragile from the get-go. He stirred the noodles with a fork to loosen them from the pack, and then poured the contents into a bowl. Was it really so wrong for him to have a connection to a young girl? He wished he really was the imaginary 17-year-old Adam. Then he could start over, and he could be with Rachel. As he walked past the long mirror hanging on the wall beside his desk, he looked in at himself. A weedy, gaunt, sandy-haired stranger was staring back. His hair seemed to be creeping back from his forehead more every time he looked. His watery eyes squinted from behind round spectacles. He wondered what Rachel would think of the real him.